Welcome back, everybody. Power Pellet Podcast, episode number 13, part 2. This is your co-host, DaVinci, where we still feature our temporary official co-host of the week, Prince and Cassie. Just a little warning, there is a little bit of explicit language which is involved in this topic, which is very sensitive, where we talk about sexism in video games. So, again, if you got any children around, there's going to be a couple words said that might not be appropriate for them. This part of the podcast is considered explicit, but appreciate you guys listening. Thanks.
Back to the Power Pellet Podcast. We're here ready to talk about our topic of the week, man. And I've been preparing for this topic for about 2 weeks. So let me kind of set the stage here. About 2 weeks ago, I ran into this article on Polygon.com. And the name of the article was "No Skin Thick Enough, the Daily Harassment of Women in the Game Industry." And that right there just kind of piqued my interest, man. And so, of course, I read the article, and it's written by Brianna Wu. She's a developer, a game developer. She leads a development studio. And in the article, she goes on to talk about how women are treated by men in the online gaming community, on Twitter, feeds and things of that nature. But it gets pretty rough, man. I just kind of want to give everybody a warning before we get into this topic. We're going to use some graphic language. We're going to use some slurs. We're going to use some triggering content. So prepare yourself, because I really want to dive into this, because I've heard it in the past, and I don't know. I just want to address it because it's such an important issue to me, because I do have female gamer friends and I do see them dealing with some of this stuff. So let me just read a little bit from the article just to kind of set, the framework here. So she started the article off by saying, "Women are the niggers of gender." Whoa. That right there is like, what? Wait a minute. And as I sunk in, I went through this whole range of emotions of being upset, to being sad, to being disappointed. And I ended with this article being mad, but she's right, and I see where she's going with this. This is what somebody was saying. This was from an email she got, but I get it. That's how women are treated in the online gaming community. They are treated like they are, unfortunately, how black people have been treated in this country, and how we are constantly have slurs thrown at us, or we're having slurs thrown at us. Women now are dealing with this in the gaming community. So she goes on to talk about some of the stuff she's experienced and some of the things her friends have experienced during her, 12 years or how many years of gaming she's been through. Excuse me, I'm really emotional about this article, but she used case studies to show examples of some of the harassment that they're dealing with. So, and she did a myth versus reality thing. And so in case study 1, the first myth she used was, everyone in the gaming industry experience harassment. Women are just too sensitive about it. So that's the myth. I want to ask you guys, what do you think about that myth?
Honestly, I could say it does go both ways. Everybody gets that harassment, but I will say she is right. Women do get a little bit worse. It's mainly depending on how your background is. Mm-hmm. Like you were saying before, being black, it doesn't matter anymore. On the game, people find anything that they can to get at you, Right. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian. It doesn't matter what part of the world you come from. You could live next door to someone and they'll still treat you like, you're no one special. Like, you have no say-so whatsoever. So I will go as to say that she is right, how women do get it a little bit worse, but I will say the myth is true. It does happen to everyone, not just, females.
And right. And so I'm so happy to have you two on, because you guys again, a gaming couple, you play games together, and you play games right there next to each other. And I'm sure you have heard some things and seen some things happen to Cassie. I'm sorry, Cassie. I'm going to get it right, man. That's just so Freudian for me.
What I tell you Cassie was.
But I apologize, Cassie. Tell us about some of this harassment that you personally experienced, and do you see it as being disproportional towards you as it is towards men, or do you kind of see it being evens?
Well, for me, I've seen how they react to my teammates and how they react to me and other girl gamers that I play with.
Okay.
And it's different. It is.
And
You can say we are sensitive to it more, but we're really not. Like, sure, sometimes it's very hard to hear what they say, and it's hard to not retaliate.
Right.
But you know what? I have to ignore them at the end of the day, and it's really hard to ignore them.
I have a quick question, because you guys are primarily PlayStation users. We can agree on that.
Yeah.
On the Xbox, they have a rating system, and then they also have basically where you can flag players for just different reasons, and it gives you different choices and stuff like that. And they actually do investigate. And I used to listen to the Major Nelson podcast, where they would bring this topic up every now and then, where if you found somebody who was just flat out being an idiot, you could report them. And, there have been, plenty of times where people will get actually suspended from the service and all of that stuff. Is there anything like that on the PlayStation Network where you can report a player or, just anything in the PlayStation Network, not the game, but just with the network for, just somebody sending you a bad message or, just saying something through the headset that just didn't, even if they said it to somebody else, it just didn't sound right. It just wasn't appropriate for what was going on. Does PlayStation have anything like that?
Well, they have a grief report. Like, you can highlight the message and you can hit triangle and you can go down to grief report. But sometimes it doesn't go through. Like, they'll have an error, and even though you retry it every day, it'll freeze your system, and it's it's messed up.
Huh.
Man, that brings a bigger issue. It almost sounds like either they're not taking this issue seriously because they built in some stuff into the game, like you said, to report people and to turn off people's mics or whatever, and to But I feel like hearing you say that, how responsible is Sony and Microsoft for this? Do they bear any responsibility for this, or is this strictly just on the community itself?
I saw an article that said that whole I'm playing against 12-year-olds and they're telling you to go F your mom all day long has actually people are reporting it less, but it literally did not mention anything as far as just the negativity towards female gamers and somebody as opposed to, like, if you would have did something that they didn't like you, I'm gonna just mute my mic and avoid that player. But because they noticed that the gamer tag has a female connotation to it, so now, so now they're going to be abusive verbally and in the written. It didn't mention anything like that, so to know that something like that, I think it's just not being looked at as much. It's not in the forefront as it would be if it was just somebody's little kid who just sounds crazy on the microphone, and people are so used to that they just mute those players.
Right.
Is that something that you guys tend to do when specifically, Cassie, when you're playing? Do you just go in without? Would you go in without a headset, just with the idea that you don't want to take the chance of hearing somebody say something? Do you go in under like an alias gamer tag that doesn't necessarily represent your gender? That way you're not dealing with just the idiocracy of the situation.
I use my normal gamer tag because I really do not care what they say. I'm so used to it by now, it doesn't even faze me. But
see, that I think right there that's kind of messed up, where you just say you've developed this thick skin, you're used to it, You know, as for somebody like me, you know, I feel like I could never get used to racism. You know, something like that where it always just kind of leaves a thorn in my side where you sit back and you go, it's 2014 and you still deal with people who think that their gender, their color, their skin only exists in their world, and that's all that matters when there's, you know, a billion people in this country who...
You know, it's interesting that she says she's used to it, but the article says that there's no way your skin can be thick enough, and I think it's going to vary for different people. You know, you hear so much of it, you do develop some defense to this, and it just doesn't bother you anymore. But for some other people, and she gave some good examples in this article, they walk away from the games emotionally scarred, and they're just kind of like, man, do I go back and even want to deal with this? And it was interesting. Cassie said something earlier that when she's in a lobby and she hears them talking to a man, and then they talk to the woman, they do it differently, and I've heard it. You know, if I'm in there and I'm trash talking, because I trash talk, and I'm talking to somebody talking about their skills or something like that, I'm using different words than what I hear when they are going after a woman or a girl gamer. I mean, they immediately go for something that has sexual connotations to it.
Yeah.
You know, they talk about rape. They talk about doing something to them sexually or harming them in some way physically. That's not quite what we get. We, as a black gamer, we might hear about our race, or we might hear the nigger word, or, you know, or I thugs, as I call them, where they're talking about, oh, I kick your ass, but when women get it, they get it differently. And I went undercover. For a couple of games on
You're
Black
welcome.
Ops.
You're welcome. Let me just say, I did throw that out there for
Let me back up. At the suggestion of Prince, and it was an excellent suggestion, I created a girl account, went in there as a scrub, played a girl, and it didn't take long. I'm going to tell you, let me just give you some of the things that happened. I got in there, and after a couple of rounds, I had to get warmed up in Call of Duty because I hadn't played in a while. When I finally got warmed up and started kicking butt, I started getting unsolicited invites from people that were in the game maybe an hour earlier. The invite just popped up to be a friend. That right there is a form of harassment in a sense, man, because I didn't make a connection with this person. I didn't even have a mic on. It was the fact that I had a girl name that this guy felt that it was okay to send me an invite, right? I got in there. I was called a cunt. Called a cunt. Now, there's a twist to being called a cunt, and I wrote on this on the group page. I was actually called a cunt by a girl.
Yeah.
And and that blew my mind. And I asked her, you know, I texted her a message and said, why am I a cunt? And she kind of stumbled on her words and couldn't answer it. But I'm going to tell you why she called me that. I was on the opposite team, and I was kicking their team butt. In the next game, if you're solo, sometimes Call of Duty will throw you on the other team. And now I'm with her and her friends, and they're talking junk, you know. And so that cunt's on our team now. And I'm just like, whoa, that was a girl that said that. Now, I haven't said anything other than I'm kicking their butt. And that's what she came at me with. And I'm just like, wow. And you know what it was? You know, after playing this and being undercover for a while, it was this mob mentality that made it okay for, I think, and just as me speculating, for her to say that. She's with her friends. She
with people she's used to playing with,
comfortable with.
Yeah.
Right. And it kind of made me think, man, I wonder if they were calling me a cunt before I got on their team, or what else were they calling me before I got here? You know what I'm saying? And so
did she have that? Oh, I'm now just one of the boys.
Yes, that's
syndrome.
exactly. I sat there and listened to their conversation, and the things they were talking about, and that was just it. I'm one of the guys. I quote unquote have been accepted. I could talk crap just like them. And so again, that's that mob mentality where, you know, because we are secure in a group, we could do some things that we normally wouldn't do out of character. The other thing too is that goes into this topic is we're not face to face. We're miles away from each other. I can say what I want, log off, and nobody knows about it. There's no repercussions about it. There's no threat of you coming and actually doing something to me. And that changes people's character, man. And I think you see it with men talking to men talking to women, and of course, vice versa. What do you guys think about that? hiding behind the internet.
Me because, like we've said it before, Mark, we had this conversation about this topic. It kills me because, you know, if I were to come home and, you know, I got a call from my sister, my aunt, my own mother or grandmother, sometimes told me, like, they called her one of those names or, you know, they told her about the sexual acts they wanted to do to her. I would go to that person, I would find them, and I would physically hurt them as much as I could because, you know, that's just what's instilled in you. You're supposed to do that. If not, you should at least be saying it. You should be defending them in some type of way. And it kills me that because, like I said before, it does go both ways. The harassment happens to men and women, but it's the way you handle it that because of the stereotypes already set there, it's either you have to make that call, will you either be in the background or will you stand up? Because, yes, there's been many times, I'm pretty sure, where everybody's had this situation happen. You're in a lobby, you come in, there is a female or a male there that a group of people, if not of the whole of the lobby or group, has picked on one specific being. They got their back to the wall, and everyone is on their case. Now, you have two choices. You could be the silent three choices. You could be silent, you know, you cannot join in at all. You could defend them, or you could just join in with the crowd. The problem is, being silent and defending someone are the exact same thing because if you're defending someone, you really don't get any recognition for it because of the simple fact that if I come into a lobby and say, I didn't know Cassie, I started defending her, the first thing the people think is, oh, well, you're just defending her so you can get in their pants.
So you can hook up with her, right?
Yeah, that's the first thing that happens.
Right.
You can't have no sense of honor or chivalry anymore because the first thing that comes into mind is, oh, that person's just trying to get into their pants. Then that puts that mentality in the next person who was getting bullied, like, oh, they're just trying to be my friend so they could get my guard down. 9 times out of 10, that's not really the case. There are people that actually do want to defend you, and, you know, it's wrong because that person can always go through the same abuse that you go to.
Right.
That's why I say it follows in both ways. Guys could join in and, you know, oh, that guy's a faggot. I can't stand that fucker. Right. And I'm like, whoa, hey, I just came in. You can hate me for no reason. You don't even know me.
Yeah.
For all you know, I could be that God-loving man that goes to church every day and gives every dollar that I have to any person, but it don't matter to them. I came in and I'm a threat to them because they see how good I am, or just by stat-wise, that's what puts people on that defensive.
Okay, so you mentioned two things here, and I want to ask Cassie this. I have a friend that I game with, a female friend that I game with religiously, and you've gamed with us. And she's one of the crew. I'm not going to say she's one of the fellas because I don't want to take that mentality. But she talks mess with us like I would talk mess with my brothers. You know, we have that type of friendship now. But we came into a lobby, and this was on The Last of Us, and as soon as we got into the lobby, somebody called her a cunt. And I don't think she heard it. She didn't hear it because she didn't say nothing to it. I heard it. And the first thing I did was, you know, I went to defend her, and I was on this dude, you know. Cassie, do you want that?
Well, you know what?
Do you need that?
Me personally, I do not need that because I can handle myself.
Okay. Right.
But I've actually had occasions where a guy did defend me and then we became friends.
Right.
But then he started talking to me. He was like, oh, do you have a boyfriend? Do you have all this? I was like, yeah, why?
That fool trying to find love on the system.
Yeah. And then I said, yeah, I have a boyfriend, but that has nothing to do with gaming or anything like that. Like, I want to game. I want to shoot people.
Right.
I want to have fun. I'm not into all that stuff online. And then he unfriended me because of that.
And see, and it's funny because
he couldn't advance, so
he couldn't hook up.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Like, well, I didn't know you had a boyfriend, so me saying this friend request was pointless. I was like, okay, bye. I don't want to be your friend anyway.
Gaming, I don't know. To each their own. Hooking up online, if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, great. I don't think that's why women get online. I'm just and somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not gonna use a punitive statement. I don't think that's why a lot of women gamers get online. They get online to do just what men gamers do. They want to come into a lobby. They want to play the game. They want to prove that they're the best at something or they're really good or whatever they want to do. But they're not coming on there to hook up with somebody.
That's what you call a perk. That's just, you know, I'm playing this game. I run into another person and that person has the same likes as myself. That's one of those, hey, man, that's great. That's how you make friends. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. You know, you play with somebody for so long, you build that relationship regardless if you've never seen each other face to face, because you could know this person better than the people that live with them do.
Right. And that's because you do have something in common, and that's because there has been time to like any friendship for it to develop.
Yeah.
But kind of the example that Cassie used, and the example I said earlier, where I came into the lobby and I just had randoms sending me friend invites simply because I had a female name.
Yeah.
Yes. You want to know how many friend requests I have in my system right now?
Currently.
How many?
19.
Wow.
And that's just from Call of Duty.
And that's just from Call of Duty.
And simply because of your name, and maybe because they've heard your voice.
Yeah.
And so with those friend requests, did you have anybody verbally approach you and get permission to send this friend request to you?
No, I actually had them demanding me to add them.
Wow. Like verbally, or like through a text message, or?
They do both.
They'll send the friend request first, and then when I don't answer it, they'll like add me.
Now, can you block them? Say like you just literally didn't want anything to do with them.
Yeah, I block them, especially when they get out of control, and I just add them to the block list. I have a lot of block.
But that's sad that you have to do that. I mean, like, the block list should be like a last resort where, like, if you're playing with someone that you know you don't want to play with, every time you catch this person, they're cheating, they have some type of hacks or mods, and they're just horrible to everybody. They have no friends. They come in the lobby just to start problems. That's when you should be blocking people. That makes sense. You shouldn't have to block people just because they can't stop harassing you.
All right.
There's a lot of harassment.
It is, and I've seen some of the messages that you share with me, and it's just amazing that men feel like that it's okay to say this to a woman or send this message to a woman. And that's one of the things that Brianna touched on in this article, that men kind of have this male privilege, quote unquote, that they're able to use. Hey, it don't matter. I want to hook up. I'm going to holler at her. You know what I'm saying? It's a girl. I'm going to hit on her. And that's not fair. That's not fair, because especially in this environment, because again, we have to remember why we are together in this universe right now, as far as this gaming universe. It's because we want to play games.
And 9 times out of 10, they wouldn't do it in person.
And that's the other thing.
You know, see, you got a lot of punks out there, a lot of people who feel like because you can't see their face, you don't know where they're at, you can't come knock on their door, that they have the liberty to say what they want, you know, write what they want, and it's absolutely inappropriate. And
I kind of took a little umbrage with her saying male privilege. I think it's more of internet privilege.
Yep.
And, you know, and again, you could talk tough and you could be somebody else. Literally, you're somebody else when you get online because you create an avatar that doesn't look like you. You create a name that's not your government name. You almost take on the mentality of somebody else. And then we're playing these games that are very combative. They're, you know what I mean? They're very, you're going at each other. So you almost take on this different mentality. I think that leaks over, man, into how you respond and treat people. And I think there has to be some maturity in that. So, the second case study kind of dealt with the myth that because a woman is, I'm just going to read it directly. It says, women in the games industry get special treatment for being women, and your life can be made easier by your looks. That's the myth. The reality is many men believe women have no worth in game industries beyond their appearance. I disagree with that. This means an incredible amount of conversation focuses on sexual attractiveness or appearance in general. So, fact. I think it's a fact that, and you see it in the movies, you see it on TV shows, and they talk about it all the time. Some women have advanced in their careers because they were more attractive than others. The way you dress, they call it dress for success. So there is a little truth to that. So that kind of rubbed me wrong. Then saying that many men believe women have no worth in game industries other than appearance totally upset me. I just think that's a quantitative statement. I don't think it's true. But again, this is just my opinion. I don't think that many men go out and look at women and say, all right, after your looks, you have no other value.
You know, and it's sad to hear that, because I guarantee you a lot of people don't know that some of their most favorite written video games were done by women.
Right.
A lot of the Uncharted games were written by a woman.
And So let's talk about that, though. So there's a couple issues here, man. There's so many issues that here I want to touch on. The biggest one is I looked at some stats about male to female gamers in the online community, or just gamers in general, and it's about 55% men, 45% women. But take somebody like Cassie, who uses her a name that's very close to her own and doesn't use an avatar or hide behind a different name. And then you have a bunch of women out there who just use alts, so they don't have to deal with that harassment. Personally, and again, my opinion, I think that you have to come from behind the fake name and be who you are. That is the only way that this kind of gets dealt with. You almost got to stand up to the bully and say, yes, so what? I'm a woman. Don't treat me this way. I want to be treated just like you. And again, this is my opinion. What do you think? If you have almost a 50-50 split in gamers, and when I play online, I don't see it. I go into a lobby, there's mics off, all I see is males and male names. You have women that are gamers. I mean, you have women that are using male names. Don't you think they should come out and just be themselves?
They should, but the whole thing is, I understand it's hard for them, but they need to do it. Mainly the thing I do is everybody always want to talk about, oh, you're not worth anything. People try to take your gender or your race, what background you come from. I say you do the number one thing you've been doing on the game. You let your skills talk for you.
Yes.
That's the same thing when me and Cassie were first playing, I let her know, I was like, look, girl gamers are known, supposedly, the stereotype is that, they sit in the background, they don't do anything. And I'm like, I want you to be the opposite of that. I want you running around constantly killing people. When somebody scream your name out, it's because they're like, oh, that motherfucker shot me in the face. Good. That's because she is not sitting in the corner and she's not what you've ever seen before.
Yeah, I've had people say, oh, Cassie's coming, turn around. That actually happened earlier today.
Yeah. It makes you smile, though, right?
It's funny. I sit there and start laughing, and I just go around shooting everyone.
That's what I'm saying. Like, your skill should define who you are. Who cares if your girl just came in the lobby? I think you should make it your job to be that girl that comes in the lobby that people look at your stats and go, wow, maybe we should leave. Why? Haven't you seen she's killed like 40,000 people and only died twice? And there are those people out there that do that. We play with them every day. The only thing is, it's all that chatter and talking that, suppresses their ability and it gets inside of them. That's a common part of warfare. You get inside your enemy's head. And that's what I think it's really about. Most of these men that play the game all day, they have nothing better to do but harass people. They're mad that their skills in the game aren't as good as how they can get in someone's head. Then they find someone who's the opposite sex, which demoralizes them, that's better than them.
Right.
That's just adding icing to the cake. That's all it takes.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I talked to my niece who could be on the show today, and I asked her about this article. And the first thing she said was, listen, all I'm going to do is kick their butt. When I hear them talk junk, my goal is to become the MVP of that lobby and prove to them. And she said, then I'll turn my mic on and let them know, I just kicked your butt. It was a girl. Deal with it.
Very true. That is very true. I agree with that.
Yeah, but now I got to play the devil's advocate. I don't think women need to prove themselves. You have men get on here and they suck. And we'll friend them. We'll continue to let them be, leave them alone in the lobby. I don't think a woman gamer has to get on here and be MVP of the lobby just to be accepted into this quote-unquote boys club that can be set up sometimes. That's just me playing devil's advocate.
No, well, I agree with you, but I also am going to take the opposite side of that. I follow that standard for everyone. I don't care if you're a man or woman. I wouldn't give a damn if you're a dog that learned how to pick up the controller. If you are sorry, you get no special treatment from me. If your skills do not show and you can't beat me, I refuse to friend people. I've had people send me friend requests, and they'll be like 2 and 49, and Cassie be like, "Oh my god, you were like 35 and 2," and I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "You gonna add anybody?" Hell no. Why not?
Right.
At most, I've got maybe 8 to 9 females on my friends list, and I guarantee you play with any one of them, and you will be mad because the first thing that happens is they will hog all the kills, and Cassie is one of those women. Like you were asking us before,
kills.
Exactly. That's why I can't play with her. I cannot. It's just like playing with another. it wouldn't matter, male or female. It's another person who is at my skill level that I know for a fact cannot play with this person just because it is not smooth sailing.
Mark, you thought when you went undercover, that like if you lost a few times, they'd still rag on you a little bit.
Right.
But if you win, it's 10 times worse.
Oh, they let me tell you something. They were coming at me. And like I said, after I warmed up and I started kicking their butt, yeah.
I went, let me see. I went 50-13 yesterday.
You're a beast.
I went that yesterday, and all I got was negative comments saying, "Oh, you're a hacker. You're probably like a 500-pound woman."
They don't know how to lose, especially when they find out it's a female.
Right.
Yeah. They're like, "Oh, you sound like a guy." I was like, "Look, I really don't care. I'm not any of that, but go ahead, say what you have to say.
Right.
You're gonna get muted anyway."
And so that brings us to case 3, and I'm going to go back to case 2 because it's something I want to touch on. Women should just laugh it off. Don't take it personal. I just called you a cunt, called you a bitch. I just said I'm going to come to your house and rape you. I just told you I'm going to be waiting outside of your house, all because you went 50-13 in the lobby. But don't take that personal. What do you think?
What it's hard is, you don't know who you're talking to. You don't know who experienced the actual thing and who hasn't. Like, let's say if someone got raped. If you say that, that's just making them remember traumatic past. Indeed. And you don't want to do that.
Right.
It's not right.
You bring up a great point, because I know women who have been through that, and I understand when I read an article like this why people give this warning at the beginning, because I don't care who you are, what you've been through. If you've been through a car accident, let me tell you something. When a car screeches behind you, you jump. You jump. I had my car totaled, and it took me a while to get comfortable driving again. And I'm not trying to compare a car crash to rape. It's extremely different. But when you hear that word, I don't care who you are, it's going to bring something out of you. It's going to bring something back up in you. And I'm guilty.
I totally understand.
I've used that word not in the context of going out and raping somebody, but I've used it. I've heard men use it. Oh, we raped y'all. Oh, we raped your team. And it's like, hold on. Who's in the lobby hearing this? And so it's been a lesson. Like I said, I learned some lessons reading this article. I got to watch some of the words I use, man. I got to watch how I react and how I trash talk, because I don't know who I'm affecting. I don't know who's sitting in there with their mic off. I don't know who's just decided, you know what, I'm leaving this lobby, or I'm turning my game off for the day. I can't deal with it, because I wasn't sensitive enough to know that, there are some trigger words out there. There's some things out there that can't be said. So
I'll also say this. Yes, it happens to women mostly, but it also happens to men too. It does. And
so
they should really watch what they say. Especially if it's one of your friends.
And the funny thing is, when you say that to a man, I already know the first thing that comes to mind. Oh, well, let a woman rape me. That's when you're wrong. It won't be a woman. Sometimes it'll be another man. And that's what's going to catch you off guard. And I don't want to hear that, oh, well, I'm not going to prison. It's not just prison. You could be walking the streets at night by yourself.
Right.
What happens if somebody club you over the head, you waking up with your pants over your ankles?
Right.
You don't know what could happen in this world. There's a lot of things that happen that people are not expecting.
Yeah, man, you guys make me think, because I think about the thing that happened at the University of Pennsylvania, man, and that all those cases that came out with that coach, and those are all men. These are all men who had experienced something very tragic. And you're right. You're right. I never gave any thought to, where that could really lead to. So, wow. Wow. So let's switch it up a little bit, and let's talk about comic books. Let's talk about movies. Let's talk about video game characters. Let's talk about a lot of these characters, especially comic books, and a lot of our games were originated in comic books. The way women are presented. If you're playing, you see these memes all the time about, as your armor strength increases, your clothes decrease. You're running around in a bikini, but that's your top armor. How do you feel about that? Is women objectified. I'm not gonna say is. We know women are objectified in video games. You know, does that add to this? Does that make men just see women simply as objects?
You wanna go first on that?
I got a perfectly good argument for this. As the blame, I put that blame on both sides, male and female. Of course, it's the obvious blame for male. They shouldn't, you shouldn't objectify a woman. You shouldn't take someone lightly just because, they're not wearing the amount of clothing that you want them to wear, and it works both ways for women too. You shouldn't have to think to yourself that you have to be damn near naked for someone to take you seriously. If you feel that you don't want to wear that, then don't. You don't have to. I mean, there are characters that are created that way. It works both ways. That is just based on a male perspective. There are characters that are male that don't wear that much clothing, and that sometimes is based on a female perspective. It's however you take it, and you shouldn't really let it decide what you're going to do.
Right.
There's thousands of women out there that, are gamers, whether they're, being interviewed or they are doing the interviewing, and, you don't always have to catch them in, a skimpy t-shirt and a skirt, They'll just be like men, pair of baggy jeans and, a hoodie. It doesn't matter. It works both ways. But I'd have to say the blame, of course, is going to fall more on men because, it's happened longer. Men objectifying women, here, quick, put this outfit on. Nobody's going to listen to a woman's mouth unless you wear this,
That's real.
I put the blame on that woman because, don't let your self-esteem get that far. Sometimes you cannot help it. There's a lot of factors that go into it behind the scenes. But, there's like people tell others, there's always going to be somebody in your corner who will always be there for you. And you should not let that influence who you are or are going to be in the future.
Okay, but so I want to hear Cassie's opinion on this because you see it. You see the video games. You see how the women are dressed. You read the comic books. You've seen the movies. What do you think about the way women are portrayed in video games? And do you think this adds to some of the harassment that you receive?
It does add to it because it's just they're expecting it. They expect us to sit there and dress like that and talk all like how they see in the movies. It's not right. But some girls, like when they write stuff like that or they make the movies, they do the dresses and stuff like that.
Right.
Even in anime, I noticed there's some girls make it and guys make it, and it's way different. But sometimes it's
insecurity.
Yeah, there you go. I can't talk right. Sorry.
Insecurities.
Yeah.
You're doing great. No, Okay, so now I'm going to play the devil's advocate again here. Okay, now I'm going to kind of touch on some of the things that Prince mentioned here. If you're a big video gamer, then you know that there are cosplayers out here, and we know cosplayers are the people who kind of take it to that next level. They dress up as their favorite video game character, and so a lot of the women that dress up in their favorite video game character, they're dressed in bikinis, or they're dressed representing these women who are in these comic books, and it's tits and ass. I'm just going to say what it is, right?
It is.
And so they go to conventions, they're on the Facebook, or they got websites dedicated to this stuff. Is that, I'm not going to say that is it provocative? Is it, you know what I'm saying? Is it kind of, I hate to say it, I'm playing devil's advocate. Are they asking for it? Do you, you don't, just give me your opinion. I don't think they're asking for it. I did, before talking to my niece, think that it was very provocative, but she said something to me that kind of put me in my place. She said two things. She said, one, women should be able to wear whatever the hell they want to wear. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Let me think about that. She's right. She's right. Women get dressed, and they should be able to wear what they want to wear. But the other thing she said to me that kind of backed it up, she was like, these are badass characters. Lara Croft's bad. She kicks butt. Some of these Sonyas and Mortal Kombat women, they're in there kicking butt. And all women want to do is be that character. They want to be badass like the video game character they just played with, or Superwoman, or Wonder Woman, or whoever it is that they just read about. They just want to represent that person because they like it. And so I don't know. I just kind of think there's a fine line between that too.
It's a cautious line, right? I think like a lot of women, after a while they see certain things that other women wear that they like. So yeah, they want to wear that too and feel like it looks really nice on them. So, but then when they go to wear something and then somebody makes a comment and then that guy's like, well, you shouldn't have wore that. It's like, whoa, how does that justify you saying what you're saying to me that makes me feel this way? But if I'm wearing a snazzy, business suit that it fits her, for a female, if it fits her body, it's not up to that guy to always let her know, oh, you look good, baby, da 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 da. Right. It goes all 100%. I don't care what a woman wears goes on the individual's response to it. You don't have to let somebody know that they look good, especially if you don't know them. There's right. ways to go about things. It's not always about, objectifying them and just making them feel like, they're just this individual from the neck down and not, from the neck up. Men, as opposed to taking time to learn about that person who's kicking their butt, how about you, figure out what they doing first? It's not about being a friend, just because they're a female who games. Figure out what their strategy is and learn about that person first. Become their friend. Don't get mad because they play better than you. You don't know how long they've been playing. It could have been right. a female that was playing the game since they were, 5 years old because they love video games. Not somebody who's just hopping on because they, their friend plays games, so they want to get on and play too. It's equal, and we have to hold these people accountable 100%. I don't care who it is and how they're feeling that day and what they're used to with the people around them. You right. can't say anything you want to somebody that you don't know. Is it different if you know that person? If that's how you guys feel like you can talk to each other, by all means, then start the chat. Do a private chat. That's kind of why I like Xbox a little bit, because you have that private chat. I don't have to take the chance of listening to anybody else. Yeah, people could still send you messages, but guess what? On Xbox Live, when you send me that message, I can report that message to Xbox Live, and they get that exact message, and they do take action. I will go back and look at your name a day or two later and see that your account has been suspended.
Right.
Is it wrong? Absolutely. And I think, Cassie, I agree where you feel like, at certain lengths you can avoid it, but also, for me, I don't think it's appropriate and to hear through this conversation that this is something that happens well more often than people either want to know about or like to think about. I think, it is kind of everybody's responsibility to take action on all of these, again, idiots, because these are idiots. These are idiots. You wouldn't say a quarter of these things if your mom was in the room.
I agree.
Unless your mom just so happened to let you talk like that when you was coming up because she got some issues of her own. You wouldn't say these things. You wouldn't say this to their face. I bet if it was a Skype chat like this, you wouldn't say it at that point. People feel like they just could get away with too much, and it's when we continue to allow them to feel that way is where it never stops.
Okay, so it is everybody's responsibility, man. But all right, let me talk to the men for a moment. I got two boys, and I got to be careful what I expose them to, what they hear me say, how I treat my wife, how I treat my female friends, aunties, uncles. I'm setting the standard for them. I'm setting the standard. So these men that get online and feel like they can talk to women any way, somewhere along the line, there were older men in their lives that kind of gave them the green light, that said, hey, this is okay. Or even getting around, we know locker room talk. We've all been in the locker room, fellas. We've all been at the bar. We've all been at the just men. When we're together, we're just men. And we talk about women way different than we would ever talk about women when we get around our moms and grandmas, aunts, wives, or girlfriends, or whatever. It's just a different conversation. We use different words. We got to change as well. We got to do our part and not objectify women the way that we do. Y'all know we do it. Let's just admit that we do it. We have to be more respectful.
There it is. That's the word that I haven't heard once this whole time.
Yeah. We have to be more respectful. And I think it starts when we are alone together discussing women. Women are beautiful. There's nothing wrong with talking about how beautiful a woman is, but there is a fine line of that you can cross where it becomes derogatory and it becomes harassment. And listen, you got to understand where you are. 45% of female gamers just want a game. They don't want to be judged on their looks. They want to be judged on their talent, just like you judge your buddy on their talent. And they don't want to be judged at all. They just want to get online and play their game. And that's it.
Hold on. I want to take your card, and I want to be devil's advocate.
All right.
I give no respect to the women that are fake gamers. I feel so bad for the women that do game, that have been gaming. You know, they remember the very first Zelda. You know, they had an Atari or whatever. I have no respect for the women that just buy it just because, I just want to be seen and heard. If you just want to be seen and heard, there's a million other hobbies you can have. Do not come on to someone else's, playing field, stepping on their toes and ruining it for other people, because most stereotypes do happen and start because of that one person, and that is all it takes for it to start. It makes me so mad how many times, if you do catch them, I don't know if you ever ran into them, but I've run into them a lot where they're girls, I died, who cares, I'm just playing this because, my boyfriend taught me how to play because he wanted me to play with him. No. Don't do it just because he wanted you to do it. Find an actual game that you like and, take it to heart. Play it because it's a stress reliever. You like the storyline. It's exciting for you. Don't do it as a fad, something you'll do this week and the next week, I trashed my PlayStation or Xbox just because it got boring. Don't be like that.
It's funny. I hear two things from you, Prince, and I'm going to kind of agree with you on one, and the other one I'm going to disagree with you on. Game how you like. So that's why I'm disagreeing with you. Hey, we talked about Madden last week where you had hardcore Madden players and then you got casual players, and that's not going to change. So I kind of have the mentality of game what you like. You're not going to see me playing Candy Crush. I don't get nothing from it, but I'm not going to dog the person that does play Candy Crush. I do understand that, yes, if you're coming into a first-person shooter, you got to understand what you're getting into. If you're into this arena, because that's what it is, you have some very competitive people. I don't care about gender. You have people that want to win. You have people that don't want to lose. Don't come in there and be disrespectful of that arena, right? And you do run into a lot of fake gamers, and the male and female that do it. I also have seen a lot of articles and read a lot of things about right now it's cool to be a geek. It's cool to be a gamer. And so you get a lot of women who don't even mess with that stuff, dressing like gamers, dressing like geeks to get attention. And I kind of want to take this over into the cosplay arena a little bit, because I think a woman that gets dressed in some of these quote unquote skimpy outfits, they do it because they want attention. They do it because they know it's going to bring them attention. And those are the ones who kind of muddy the water a little bit.
Don't go Stephen A. Smith on us.
You have to
be very careful when you.
I'm not justifying any harassment towards a woman in any way. What I'm saying is the water gets muddy when you have people who are in it for the wrong reasons.
It doesn't help the case.
It doesn't at all. I'm not saying I don't care why you're in it. It just that it gets muddy, and it's not fair to people who really like and do it for I guess quote unquote good reasons. And that's just kind of the point I wanted to get at. Again, I love what my niece said. A woman can wear what she wants, and she's right, because a man can wear what he wants and be fine. A woman can be able to do the same. I'm trying to tiptoe the lines here. There has to be some acknowledgement about where you're wearing these clothes, who's going to be there, what you're getting involved in. There has to be a fine line between what you're putting yourself into, man. So
if you get a woman who loves football and she goes to a football game and she wants to wear her favorite player's jersey, and it's preseason. We even go that closer with the temperature. She live in Florida, and her jersey is cut off. So now, is it her fault that men are looking at her in that environment, in that manner, with the cutoff jersey, when she's really there, probably more than a fan than, some guys who just want to go with their buddies and drink beer and this, that, and the other. Now, is it her fault that she goes with a cutoff jersey and guys are saying certain things as she's walking to her seat or going to the concession stands or anything like that?
I want to hear from a woman's point of view, and not to put you on the spot, but I'm putting you on the spot because I feel two ways about this. I feel like the 12-year-old girl that goes outside with the cutoff shirt and the shorts up her butt, it is her parents' fault, and it's not her fault. Now, the 30-year-old woman that goes out wearing the same outfit has to take some responsibility for the looks that she's getting because she knows at that age, at this point in life, if you wear this, people are going to look. I mean, you cannot, say that you're ignorant or act naive. Like I said, I want to hear Cassie's opinion about this.
I have to agree with you on that.
Woo! Sorry.
Because whenever I see someone dressed like that, I'm like, why would you want to wear that? Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, you can wear what you want. That's fine. But you do realize that there are consequences with certain people. Like, they'll see you and they don't care about anyone, and they'll probably go after you.
Right. And yeah.
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have cut you off. Go ahead and finish your thought. I'm sorry.
And how I feel is you shouldn't be defined for how you look or how your body is or anything like that. It should be your personality. That's why I like gaming, and I make friends on there because they don't know what you look like. They just get to know you after a while. With some of my friends, like my clan that I play with, they've known me for a long time, and we just started getting to know each other better. And we all want to get drinks. We want to have a barbecue and all this other stuff.
Right.
It shouldn't be defined of how you look.
It should just be about the thing we all have in common.
It should be about your personality.
Right.
And yeah. So.
I love that. I totally agree. So listen, this show has been running kind of long, but I just wanted to touch on this, man. And so the last thing I want to talk about here is we touched on some ways to fix this. The first one is respect. Men respect women. Women respect men. And be respectful of yourself. All right? But now I just kind of, and this is Merc giving his opinion, love me or hate me, I want to talk to some of the female gamers out there, and I mentioned this earlier. This won't change as fast as it should until you quit hiding. And by that, when I read that, I totally expected to see some stats where it was going to say 70% men, 30% women gaming. When I saw 45% of the people gaming are women, I was blown away. That means that you guys are hiding somewhere.
Because when you go to GameStop on that midnight release, you don't see them.
Yeah, right. So my thing is, if you're going to participate in this industry, participate in it. Take ownership of it like men have taken ownership of it because you have a right to it. So that's my first thing. Don't hide. Make a name that represents who you are and be proud of it and stand up for it. And then the other thing is, too, I was taught early as a man, the only way you stop a bully is by standing up to that bully. And that doesn't work in all situations. But in the majority of the situations, like DaVinci said, a lot of these guys are punks. And the minute that you stand up to them, and I'm not talking about proving yourself by being the best in the lobby, I'm talking about defending yourself and standing up for yourself, they'll get it. They may not get it right away, but they'll get it. And the more women that do it, I think you'll see a change in mentality. And that's just my opinion. I would love to hear your opinions on how we can fix some of this.
Well, honestly, I agree with that. My whole thing that I really believe is, you can always change it. Standing up to the person that, gives you hell for anything, that's definitely the way to go. I also think that you should be mindful, of your surroundings.
Yes.
Because, the way you portray yourself to others, 9 times out of 10, that's how their behavior to you will be. If you are the one coming in being cocky, don't let it be a surprise to you that there are people who are going to hate you and they're going to be the ones that adore you. Don't come in, putting yourself down, because there are going to be people that will jump on that bandwagon to put you down, and then they'll be the ones trying to build you up just because of their own reasons, you know. Give every person that 50-50 chance of, you know, anything can happen. It's just like you meeting a person face to face, you know, whether you're trying to be friends with them, it's a date, it's a business transaction, no matter what it is, it can always go one way or the other. That doesn't mean, you know, shot all people, you know. For the lady gamers out there, I know there are a lot of you that do it. Oh, I'm just not going to play with men. You know, I'm just playing with a bunch of girls. Mm-hmm. I have seen it firsthand. Mm-hmm. Women are just as bad as men when it comes to another woman in the lobby. Oh, yeah. You know, I'm sitting right next to one of the worst ones in the world. I cannot tell you how many times I played Call of Duty with Cassie, and she goes, "Oh, that bitch is in here." And I'm like, "Whoa, hold on. No, you don't even know her."
No, because I've run into the same girls over and again. And I get mad because they sit there in a corner.
And they camp, right?
Yeah.
That's your criteria for how you don't like a girl. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm gonna
wait. Let her speak, Prince. I want to hear her defend herself. I want to hear it because you said something. I want to hear what she says to that.
No, because for me, when, like, they always want to say, "Oh, well, I'm better than you," and all this other stuff. Well, I'm running around trying to get kills while you're sitting in one corner and just waiting for people to run by. Like, that's not really how, like, yeah, you can play the game however you want. But for me, I hate campers. And when a guy says he's better than me because he sits in a corner, drives me nuts.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, it's another woman. I know you better than you know yourself, girl. When another woman...
Oh, don't get me wrong. I
admit it. When another woman steps into the lobby, don't you usually get mad?
Yes, I get mad. But usually I play with them because I run into the same girl gamers every time, and it does not change.
All I'm saying is, if they're not in our clan, I've never heard you call a girl by her name. You usually call her the cunt or the bitch.
No, I don't say cunt.
Yeah, you do.
If I'm mad and I'm playing the game, yes.
Exactly.
But not when they first come into the lobby.
That's another thing that people can't let happen. You cannot take your rage out from one individual onto another person. And I mean that mostly for men, because I know for a fact I do it all the time.
I was going to say,
I will get mad at someone else.
No, Mark.
And the first thing I tell everyone is, I don't care who you are, I'm pissed, you're going to get it.
Mark, all you have to say to him is Ronnie Mac, and he'll get mad.
Why you got to bring that up?
That's all you have to say, and he will flip out.
All right, hold on. First of all, to defend myself, backstory. A long time ago, we were playing Call of Duty, and there happened to be a gentleman who I was not too fond of. He did the exact same thing I was doing. His skill was just a little bit below mine, and it peeved me off that he could kill me. So I took it upon myself to make him my nemesis. And I still to this day, if you're listening or hears this, if I catch you, we're going to have a fair one-on-one because this dispute must be settled.
And if you haven't called on, he meant to call him a different word.
All right, so hold on. All I'm saying is, when I come into a lobby, I don't pick on the first person and just go, I'm going to mess with that person. You have to give me some type of reason, whether it's I don't like your play style or you're just that incoherent jerk making fun of everyone else or you're picking on that select person, and it happens all the time. All I'm saying is, don't take your frustration out on one person. If you're mad at the previous game you have and you're just like, oh, I'm pissed, I'm going to take it out, that's perfectly normal. That's acceptable. You know, everybody's like that. I will admit
I do that. And when girls join the game, yeah.
Exactly.
For me, I'm a girl gamer. And whenever girl gamers meet up that aren't in the same clan as you or aren't your friends, you guys want to do a competition.
Exactly. That's just normal.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what you expect. Whenever you see another girl gamer, you're on her ass.
And it's no different than men. And when you see a guy with a rank or something, we want to beat him. And I think there's nothing wrong with friendly competition. And we touched on that. I think when you take it to a different level, to a different place where you're literally going to cut somebody deep and hurt them, and you take it past just being competitive in the arena, and you take personal shots at somebody's gender, ethnic background, sexuality, that's too far. And so it goes back to just being respectful. We were all taught to be respectful growing up, so we need to get back to those values. And I get it. It goes to standing up for yourself in the right situation. So that's really all I want to touch on now. I want to thank Prince, and I want to thank Cassie for coming on. Not Casey. I don't know who that is. I want to thank Cassie
I don't know who that is.
for coming on to the Power Pellet podcast. And like I said, I was a ball of emotions about this topic because I felt so many different ways about it. And that's because there's so many different issues involved in it. It's almost like a pot of gumbo, man. You're gonna get a little bit of everything. And so it's joy having you two on, the gaming couple. I look forward to having you guys back. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about some other things when some other games come out. But thank you. This has been a blast.
Oh, it was fun. It was great being
Yeah,
there.
thanks for having us.
DaVinci, wrap us up, baby.
I just want to thank everybody for listening to episode 13. We appreciate our temporary official co-hosts of the week, Prince and Cassie. We greatly appreciate you guys in the conversation this week. We went real deep on them this week. There's always different sides to the gaming industry, and this is one side that needed just a little bit more light shed on it. Start the conversation between everybody. Respect, people. Peace, love, and gaming is what it's all about.
Amen, brother.
We will let our guests go first. If you would like, where can people reach you at?
I'm always pretty much on PlayStation Network, Prince Kazekage 7. Feel free to add me. If you cannot spell it, bother Merc about it, because I don't know how he remembers when I'm online half the time. Because I know it's a mouthful. That's why I put it up there. So that way, if I kill you, you know it was me. There's no mistake.
Yeah, baby.
Right.
You know, if you're on the Pellet podcast group, you know, I'm in there, you know, send me a friend request or a message, you know, ever. I don't mind chatting with people, you know, playing a game once in a while. It's all about communicating and meeting new people.
All right. And
Cassie, if you want to.
All right. Yeah, that's all right. Mine's XX Cassie Girl XX3. And don't get me wrong, all girl gamers are different in their own ways. So you can't really go off of me. It's all different opinions. So let's get that out there so I don't get cursed out at.
No, I appreciate that, and I second that. She was very brave to come on here and just share her opinions, man, because like I said, this is a very sensitive topic, and she did a great job, and I really appreciate her coming on. But this is, everybody has an opinion. These are just some of her thoughts. Don't dog her. I will look for you online, and I will get like 10 kills on you or something. So leave her alone.
Thanks, Mark.
So,
Mark, where can they reach you at?
I am the Muse Hunter, M-U-S-E Hunter on Twitter. Of course, you can also find the Power Pellet Podcast on Twitter as well. And again, we are on YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, soon to be on SoundCloud. We are on in your local phone book. We are on your television ads on channel WGN.
We ain't got that budget yet.
We are. Oh, I'm sorry.
We still in beta.
We're not there. Oh, we're still in beta. But thanks for listening.
All right.
Have a good.
Power Pellet Podcast, episode number 13. We will catch y'all next time. Stay tuned. Episode number 14. I'm sure there'll be plenty of news to catch up on. Good conversations. This is DaVinci. You can reach me at DaVinci2Nami on Twitter. Like he said, email us if you have comments, questions. Just join the conversation. powerpelletpodcast@gmail.com. That's it, man. That's all I got. Any last little second words? You shaking your head? No, don't look like it. Okay. All right. Again, thank you to Prince and Cassie, and we will catch y'all next time.